Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another post-game podcast live stream thing episode of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz, beat reporter for Zone Coverage, and we have a 5-game winning streak to talk about and Anthony Edwards sucking the soul out of RJ Barrett. But I figured, what the heck, we might as well have the person that's sitting right next to me as we are podcasting, Ryan Eichten, joining the podcast. Ryan, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
That was feedback. We are echoing. Let me fix that a little bit here. But other than good, I'm just going to throw it to you off the top, Ryan. I mean, what were your thoughts kind of a Wolves game that I think for like 5 minutes looked like it might end really bad, and then it all of a sudden turned into a honestly like a pretty good win?
Yeah, I thought the first couple minutes were pretty brutal. I think it was kind of a sign that they pick up a delay of game warning technical basically before the game starts, and then Jaden kind of, after a frustrating play, throws the ball to the other side of the court and picks up a tech. I thought that was kind of a little bit of a sign that they might not have been 100% ready to play, but none of that really matters when you have the third quarter and the second half, which I thought basically they went down 19-7 in the first few minutes. Other than that, that was tonight against Toronto was about as good of a performance, maybe the best performance they've had all season. They had a bunch of kind of rough wins coming out of the break. Obviously the kind of the disaster game against Philly. But like all the other wins aside from the solid Denver performance, I thought were like, I mean, you don't complain. Finch said that Finch quoted Tim Connolly after this game saying like, there's no ugly wins at this point in the season. And I agree with that, but I didn't think they were really playing well in general since the break, at least unimpressively. But tonight was, I think, a big sign of like what this team can do.
We are managing mic muting, so there's going to be some weird pauses. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like, I think, coming out of the All-Star break, it's just kind of weird, right? Like, there's still some kind of weird Julius stuff going on. Ant was saying that, stats don't matter, but then kind of going for 30 or 40 every nights, trying to match Cade. Like, it's just weird, which I mean, some of that's just this team is weird, but it seems like Denver game Tuesday night, tonight, this team has really found a different stride. Like, they've had these streaks in the past, like they've had these like 8 out of 10 win streaks, but like this one just feels just different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's kind of what we've been looking for. Obviously, well, now I think the biggest thing is they're now the 3 seed and they're a full game up on Houston. They'll be a game and a half or 2 up on Denver and Los Angeles. That's getting the 3 seed, I think, is huge, especially if Denver kind of sticks above the 4-6 and the 4-5, and you're able to get either the Lakers or the Rockets and then the Spurs and that's about as good of a path gets. But on top of that, it's just, I've felt for most of the season that they really haven't had an extended stretch of games where it's just like, there it is. That's what this team can do. That's the ceiling that this team has. I haven't really seen that. They've had plenty of solid performances to good performance, but never really strung together. I think this 5-game winning streak is their longest of the season so far. I think that's true. They'll go for 6. I think that would be their season long, Saturday afternoon. But just seeing them stack together like solid performances is what I've personally been looking for. And the game the other night against Memphis wouldn't call it a solid performance, but a more or less professional victory. But going back to the Denver game they won before and tonight, just really solid, really good performances that hopefully kind of signal what the rest of this regular season has.
And that's like, again, you kind of mentioned it, like that's something you've been looking for all season. I think that's something I've been looking for all season. That's something certainly the fans have wanted all season, is just like consistent, competent basketball, which, I mean, let's be honest, I think Chris Finch probably has more gray hairs from looking for that exact same thing this season. But like, I mean, maybe we did bury the lead a little bit. The Wolves are now the 3 seed. I just looked up kind of their new advanced analytics after this game, or after tonight's kind of games are winding down. They're 7th in net rating, 9th in offensive rating, 7th in defensive rating, 5th in true shooting. I always like assist percentage. They're still really bad at that, but you know, what are you going to do? You can't win all of them, but like they're kind of, despite everything, like this season has felt like 3 seasons worth of just like frustration and content. But at the end of the day, they're the 3 seed now. Ant is I think 314th on the MVP ladder if you look on Basketball Reference, but I think he's right now certainly playing at an all NBA level, and everything's kind of clicking. Like it is kind of, I don't know if obnoxious is the right word, but like it is striking how every year with this team, it does seem like the All-Star break hits, and then just for whatever reason they like evolve into this different form of a team. I mean, it's even like the last year of Cat, it was that way. I mean, do you think this is like a Finch thing, or do you think it's just like kind of what they always preach of like stats don't matter, so now we get along as a team?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea that I think you're trying to get at, is like they are now 3 in the Western Conference, so there's only 2 teams in the West that have outpaced them regular season wise, but it hasn't felt like that, right? Yeah. From a regular season standpoint, I think a lot of people know the ceiling of the Wolves, but like it hasn't felt like they've hit that ceiling. And I think a couple of reasons for that is, one, they've been extraordinarily healthy this entire season, and I think that should go without saying. Like OKC's been incredibly injured and they're way up there. So the Spurs have been, they missed Wemby for a little bit. Like just thinking about all the other, like think about who the other teams have been this healthy. Like I was thinking about Boston, who obviously gets Tatum back tomorrow, but like if you kind of set Tatum aside, they've been healthy beyond Tatum, and they're outpacing their win projection by how many wins. So I think that's part of it, is that if the Wolves have had like injuries here, injuries there, I think on a 52-win pace, you'd call that a win, obviously. But I think the biggest reason they've been able to like continue to win games while not playing how I think a lot of us wanted them to is just the incredible season Anthony Edwards is having. It's I think it's kind of gone unnoticed, not unnoticed, underreported or whatever through this, but he's 29 plus points per game. If he really wants to, he can try to go for 30 points per game. This season, I looked up like the list of players that have scored 30 points per game in a full season since like 2000 or since 1980 or whatever is an incredible list of players. Like that signals that you're one of the players. But even like tonight, where he didn't have the most gaudy scoring night, where he scores 22 points, but he does so on 12 shots. So he makes 3/4 of his shots, 5 of 8 from 3. And I don't know why. I would have to deep dive, but it never, even when Ant has like a fantastic playmaking game, which I thought he was solid in that tonight, he never really ends up with a bunch of assists. And I think that's just how the Wolves run their offense. They're not running like pick and rolls where Ant is either like getting to the bucket or passing or like hitting a roller. Like it's more like ball movement. So I'm sure if you look up hockey assists, Ant would probably be good in that stat. But like he's scoring 29 or more points per game. I don't have his exact season total now, but like on just incredible offensive efficiency. And in so many, I mean, you saw it against Portland last night where it's just, or not Portland, Memphis, where it's just like, yeah, Ant scores 40 with barely even trying, and they win that game. And this game is a little bit of the opposite, but it's just like the defense has to spend so much of their time, focus, and energy not allowing Ant to score 20 points. I mean, the Denver game where they're just like throwing 2 guys at him the minute he crosses half court, and it just opens up so much. And I think that's a good example. Like Rudy led the team with 5 assists. A lot of those were coming from like the gravity Ant had. And so if they can start to clean up all the other frustrating aspects of the team while continuing to get these performances from Ant, I think all of us know like their ceiling is incredibly high in the playoffs.
It is kind of ridiculous with Ant. Like it again, like last year, he kind of puts together one of the best volume shooting seasons in history. I think the only people that have had a better volume 3-point shooting season that are Curry and Harden. But even like this season, like he is 29.7 points per game, 49.4 from the field, 40.2 from 3. And I mean, his free throw percentage is down 78.7, but that's because he's not allowed to step over the line anymore. Thanks, Mark Cuban. But like the efficiency that he's scoring at, despite only shooting 7 free throws a game and not being very effective at the free throw part of it, is wild. Like the ethical hooper thing, I think, gets thrown around a lot whenever he has a national TV game. Also, like, was listening to the Grind City podcast. Shout out Verno. But like, they were talking about Ant on that one, of like, you'd rather watch Ant than Shea at this point, like, because his game is so fun and so efficient, and the passing aspect of it getting thrown into it now, where it isn't 2 years ago. Like, now he sees a double, and within a quarter he kind of has figured out how to solve it, and then like you throw something else at him, and within about 4 or 5 minutes he figures out how to solve that, and then you see everyone getting more and more involved. Which, I mean, I asked him after the game of just like, how much does Mike factor into that? Because like, if you're watching the game in person, every time out, like, Mike is grabbing Ant before he can even sit down and like talking to him. And like, part of that is like, Mike is, you know, the mad scientist behind the Frankenstein, kind of telling him what to do on certain situations. But the other part of it is like, Ant just like, you tell him a couple times and he learns it, and then he's figured it out. Like, it's honestly like getting ahead of ourselves, but like, when he hits like 28, 29 years old, the type of player he's going to be is going to be just wild.
Yeah, that was a lot of what we saw, or what they talked about in the locker room, was just I think this team has a lot of good bench vets that help the team like get through stuff that they're working through. And now that like the roster is full, so they have like Joe Ingles is kind of a little bit of that, but certainly Mike, now that he's not in the rotation anymore, I think he's even more stepped up. Like his.
Do people know that you're sitting right next to
They
each
do.
other?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I opened
They
it.
do.
I was like, there's Ryan.
Great job, guys.
Thanks, John.
Well, train of thought is totally gone. Thank you,
We were
Krasinski.
talking about how, well, I'm muted, so
Let's unmute for a echo for a second. We're talking about Mike Conley. That's where we were at before John rudely interrupted us.
Yeah, so I think with Mike kind of out of the rotations, he's able to like focus on that a little bit more, like the leadership and the game plan. Look, I mean, I just assume like when you're not out there, obviously there's like a level of a game knowledge you can when you're out there, but like when you're not and you're just focused on like reading the other team, reading what's going on, I think Mike can be he's already a great leader. Like Io said, the brief time Mike wasn't on the roster, he already noticed like there was a voice missing. And then I think Kyle Anderson is going to be, I mean, just even on the floor tonight, I thought he provided a lot of value, especially when Jaden was out. Jaden was out with foul trouble. He came in, and like the defense we know is always going to be there. And the playmaking, I noted a play where I can't think of how many times like the Wolves have had a back cut bucket for a layup. There's a play where Kyle Anderson had the ball, and you can kind of see him like telling Io to cut. And they hit him for a layup. And I think that's like another guy, like quickly. It's been impressive how quickly like Io has got up to speed with this team. And I would still assume like there's more to grow there. And then Kyle Anderson too, just 2 games. Obviously he's been here before, but like half the rotation he hasn't necessarily played with. Half the rotation obviously he has, but the depth of leadership on this roster, I think, is going to help them a lot. And maybe that's like, maybe that's under or overrated or whatever. But when you have that combined with like just an uber strong talent and Ant, like those are like those are 2 of the biggest things you need, like kind of come the playoffs.
Again, we love awkward pauses as I switch mics. But I mean, I think the other thing that Kyle, like, I've kind of been a conspiracy theorist that like Kyle also gives you some Julius insurance if Julius is having one of those really off games. Like, I think Finch trusts Kyle to a point where he would wouldn't hesitate to potentially put Kyle in. And like part of that is like he's just a basketball genius. Like Mike is a basketball genius, Kyle's a basketball genius. Io, like just listening to him talk, like if people haven't like gone and watched like full press conference things, like one, I don't blame you. Like that's 15 minutes of your life that you could probably do doing other things. And you know, people like me and Dane and other people clip it all, so you only have to waste like 34 seconds of your life. But like the way he talks is just, you can tell he watches a ton of film. You can tell he like studies the game of basketball, tries to figure out all of the little ins and outs of it, which Nate says in the chat, like shout out Io. Like honestly, yeah, I don't know what type of intel they had on him before they traded for him, but it is one of those things where it's like they just added another guy that just understands basketball at a really high level, which I'm not saying that like Julius or Ant or those guys don't understand it, but like you can just tell the difference when people are talking. Like when Io is speaking about like trust and things like that, it's like, okay, this dude like legitimately gets it. And to pair him with Jaden, who Jaden at practice today said that playing with Io reminds him of playing with Nikhil, like it is kind of crazy that, you know, from where we were a month ago to today, like this team has a 9-man rotation with solid vets on the bench behind the 9 men. I mean, how much does Tim Conley deserve like credit for this team kind of finally hitting that potential?
I think he deserves a ton of credit for like building this bench kind of out of thin air. Obviously, like the Wolves have like a top 6 rotation that's pretty well slotted in there, right? Like the starters plus Nas were always, no doubt, like those guys are going to be productive players. But like coming into the season, there was a lot of questions about what they would. And I would even preseason, like Mike was in that group and has obviously fallen off of the rotation. And so like that was clearly like pre-deadline. That was a big hole in this team. Like they were just, I mean, anytime Nas had a bad game or even like a mediocre game, like they would finish with like 5 bench points and that's all they would get. And now the Wolves not only have like depth, they have a solid 9-man rotation. I feel like Io, Slow-Mo, and Bones can all give you something, and they can all give you different things. I think is important. I would guess like how many of those guys will play consistent roles in a playoff series? Probably probably 2 of those 3 will play in any given playoff series, and it'll probably, good chance it'll be like a different 2 each. If the Wolves are lucky enough to play 3 playoff series, like it'll be any 2 of those 3 in each different playoff series, depending on the matchups, depending on who's playing well. I've just been really impressed by Ayo Dosunmu, because the ability to like attack the paint like that is something the Wolves have desperately been missing, not just like this year with the lack of rotation depth, but even like I get thinking back to like the Dallas series 2 seasons ago. I think they really could have used someone like Ayo to like attack the paint, and then just like injecting some pace into this team that desperately needs it. Ayo had some, I should like just clip together all the buckets that Ayo had, just because like they were just like strong attacks to the paint, and he didn't have any of these tonight, but like sometimes he's like attacked in transition really hard and missed like what you might call like a wild layup, just for someone else, because he garners so much attention on these drives, just for someone else to get like an easy cleanup putback. I just think both in the playoffs, but I think especially for the regular season, the Wolves are just so much better prepared, even if they have an off night for whatever reason. Like they just have, like, look, Jaden had foul trouble tonight, was pretty poor in the first half, and they papered over it pretty darn well. Where pre-deadline, pre-Kyle Anderson coming here, I like Jaden getting in foul trouble was just like an absolute death sentence to this team. And it's not that like Io is some sort of like Nikhil level defender necessarily, or that Kyle Anderson is going to be playing 30 minutes a night in the regular season or the playoffs, but it's just like what the Wolves have been a team of depth for the past couple of seasons, like thinking like the 8 starters thing last year. And now they don't quite have that back, but they at least have, like, I think back to the game where they got blown out by Philly. Yeah. I think I know they were terrible from basically start to finish in that game. If they have Slow-Mo I think they might win that game. Like Kyle Anderson just would have been the starting center. Maybe not the starting center, but he would have been the main center once Béranger picked up his foul trouble that night. Like, they just have way more options and way more. If someone is out for whatever game, like they just have way more. I mean, not just talent on this, but like just options and depth.
Which, like, options and depth, like, that's the playoffs, right? Like the ability to flip over and go Kyle at the center and have a switch everything lineup. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like 3.5 weeks ago, if Jaden goes down injured, or if Jaden goes out with 21 minutes, we have Terrence Shannon Jr. probably playing 20 minutes tonight. And like, he doesn't have it. Like, at this point, like TJ's, it's probably a next year thing at this point. Same with like Clark. Like they just don't have any other options. Like Dante plays 26 minutes tonight, and if this was 3.5 weeks ago, Dante's probably playing like 40, and then he's like tired on Saturday. Like it's kind of amazing how they turned Rob, who is really struggling in Chicago. I'm glad he's getting minutes, but like Rob, Mike, a pick swap that might amount to 6 spaces, and
starter Lenny Miller.
And Lenny Miller. I mean, and they got Mike back into Kyle Anderson and Io. Like, they shout out to Tim Conley, because like he crushed it. I am going to throw us over to a quick ad read here. When we come back, I do want to talk Ant's dunk on RJ Barrett, because that was obnoxious. And as the pod is titled, Ant wanted a tech. But first, ads. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. All right, we're back. Thanks, Nate Pence. Thanks, Firehawk Construction. You guys are both awesome. Appreciate you as always. And I mean, it's hard to even like rank his dunks at this point, but like that one over RJ Barrett and the ensuing screenshots that have been found of RJ Barrett just getting crushed underneath him. Like, I don't know if you haven't been to a Wolves game to hear the crowd pop after a dunk like that. It is like one of a kind. Do you even want to rank it, Ryan, or like what are your thoughts on poor RJ Barrett?
Well, unfortunately, it was not the loudest crowd pop of the night. Do you know what I'm about to reference? The Chick-fil-A, Brandon Ingram missed a pair of free throws in the fourth quarter, and unfortunately, that was the loudest. I'm not kidding. That was the hello full screen me.
Didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. Continue. I'm just over here doing things.
The Chick-fil-A was the loudest, and they did play the chicken song or the chicken dance, and which always brings me back to the Denver Game 6 of the Denver series 2 years ago, where they played the chicken dance, and Luka Garza subsequently hits a bucket to put the Wolves up 50 in that game. But yeah, you could just like the vibes in the building the minute he slams that one home. Just immaculate stuff. It was just right at the end of the half, like Scotty Barnes forced an Ant turnover, and he kind of mean mugged him in the face a little bit, and you could see Ant kind of okay, and obviously the dunk wasn't on Scotty Barnes, but I think a little bit of him was probably like, yeah, let's show him show them who I am. And just like a couple of guys mentioned this in the locker room, just how quick he goes from like driving the lane to just up there and slamming it down. Like, it's incredible that that's like almost not his best NBA skill at this point. Like, the 3-point shooting has almost surpassed that. I remember like his first couple games, I was covering them doing stats. I was lucky enough to be in the building without any fans there. And just like every time he would shoot a 3, I would go like, no, go to the rim. And now it's just like, it looks so dumb saying that, because like he's just such a 5 of 8 from 3 tonight, like just such an amazing shooter. But I do think, weirdly enough, like there is like another level of Ant's game where it's like, and I'm almost certain he'll get there. It's like even more unstoppable in terms of like, I mean, a guy that is one of the best 3-point shooters. I mean, how many guys would you actually say is like a better 3-point shooter than Ant? At least like an off the dribble 3-point shooter. Obviously, you can pick up guys that like
probably just Harden and Curry.
Yeah, I mean, like
that's probably it.
Off the dribble 3-point shooting. I kind of think so. Obviously, like there's plenty of like just catch and shoot guys that'll just bomb away, and like Dante maybe even fits that type of build. But like he has that, and then obviously the dunks, and having a big dunk against Toronto, you kind of got to go back to the Watanabe absolute detonation. I wish I was there that night, because that was during those no fans. I didn't end up covering that game. I really wish I would have been at that one, but like the combination of those two skills, and obviously he's added in like the clutch mid-range shot. I thought like with the mid-range shot, it's always like worrying when like he kind of over relies on it a little bit. Didn't do that tonight. I mean, I'm just looking at like he missed one 2-point shot. I bet you he was like 2 of 3 or 3 of 4 on mid-range shots. He only took 4 2-point shots. So yeah, it would have been like, I bet you he was 1 of 2 on the mid-range shots tonight. There's like a level that Ant is going to get to, and then you add playmaking, which I think maybe that might be like the biggest gap that like missing from his offensive game. It'll take a couple of years for all of that to come together, but like Ant's only 24, and the Wolves sent out a graphic that he's now 5th in terms of total points scored before 25, and he's going to get up to 3rd. And I think it was just Kobe. No, it was two of Kobe, LeBron, and Durant. I can't remember which two. Like Ant's one of the greatest young scorers in the history of the NBA, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon.
To your point about his 3-point shooting, the NBA put out a graphic about it that he is first all time in 3-point makes before the age of 26. He has a year and change before he turns 26, and he's already first. Like, I did look it up too. He was 1 of 2 from the mid range. Like, again, like, I do agree there is another level. Like, he does have some margins offensively that he can get a little better at. Like, I do wish he didn't settle for like the pull-up mid-ranges as much and went to the like post-up, because he's just so good at it. Like the 3-point shooting, like it still literally just drains my soul when, like, tonight it was an above the break 3, I think in the 3rd quarter, where he did the like dribble, drew the double, and then just drilled the 3 over both of them. And it's like, that is such a bad shot for anyone in the NBA except for Anthony Edwards. But like, I can't, no one can say anything. He's hitting them at 40%. Like it's just wild. I do think the playmaking thing, like, you know, if you're going to compare him to like Wade, I think that's a different story, because Wade was averaging 7 assists by Ant's age. But like, probably the better comp is Kobe. Like, Kobe didn't really figure out how to move the ball until after Shaq left. And that was, I think, Kobe's 6th or 5th season. And then, you know, it took him even longer until Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, the corpse of Steve Nash. Like, that's kind of when he really started embracing it and getting those like 6.5, 7 assists average. Like, that's probably Ant's path, but also again, if you would have told me when he got drafted that he would be statistically one of the best 3-point shooters with a really good handle and post game and mid-range pull-up and finishing at the rim, there's just no way. Like, the guy has exceeded everything. Talked about Io a little bit, talked about the bench a little bit. I mean, I suppose we should probably just, like, 5 games won in a row, they're the 3 seed. Like, how sustainable do you feel like this is? Because to me, it does feel like it's different than some of these other win streaks. Again, they've won a few of them ugly. I think it's just the vibes, honestly, for me. Like, the locker room seems different than when it did after that Philadelphia game. Like, it just wholly feels different. What do you think, though?
Yeah, to your point, I think the 3-game road winning streak that they went on right after that Philly game. So they went to Portland. Help me out here. What was the game between Portland and
Clippers?
Yeah, Portland, Clippers, Denver, and they went 3-0. And obviously Portland didn't have Avdia, and the Clippers didn't have all 3 of their top guys. So neither of those games were all that like crazy impressive. And even Denver was missing a pair of their second most important or third most, like, they were without Gordon and Peyton Watson. So that's your most important defender and your 6th man, basically. So like there's caveats all abound, but like it does. I think they recognize, and I kind of heard this, that like they saw that road trip as like a big opportunity to at very least go 2-1, go 3-0. And now I'm guessing there's a similar sentiment coming back home where you play a injured Memphis team. You play a solid enough Raptors team and a mediocre-ish Orlando team, but like 3 games, none of the 3 games where you're like, that's going to be all of them were like, if we play our 75th percentile game or even like our 50th percentile game, you'll win pretty nicely. I think they see that as an opportunity. I'm sure they don't, like, they're not as glued in on the standings. I'm not sure, like, they're not watching, like, I got the Rocket score up on my, like, they're not doing all that, but like, I'm sure there's a part of them that saw like, okay, we have a shot to get the 3 seed, which I think was like my expectation preseason was like 3 seed, 2 or 3 seed. And I probably said there's not really that much difference between those 2 seeds. So, and that's where they stand now with the game buffer. And like, I just think like that should be the in terms of wins and losses, that should be the expectation from here on out. Keep this 3 seed. Hope that Denver stays in the 4-5, which would be my expectation, and then go from there. And obviously, you mentioned like things feeling differently. I do think like if they won this one ugly tonight and they won, like if they just kept winning ugly games, kind of like they have most of the season, I think that would be a little bit disheartening. But if you can stack up, I mean, look, not every game is going to be kind of like the third quarter tonight, right? Like you're going to win, even though like the finish line is in sight for this thing, but even so, you're going to have wonky games and you got to win those games when you're not playing your best, obviously. But if you can stack together more games that look like tonight, more games that look like the game against Denver and fewer that look like, I mean, the game the other night was fine, whatever. But like more, just stack up more of those where you feel confident going in the playoffs. And we've already talked about Ant. The one thing I've been a little bit surprised on, the Vegas odds really, at least when I checked them a couple weeks ago, really don't believe in this Wolves team. They were like below Houston and like way below San Antonio and below a lot of East teams, which that it's hard to kind of cross reference those or whatever. But the national media, like the people that nationally cover the league, kind of have been more in line with where I've been, where it's like frustrating regular season, they should be better than they have been. But like when it gets to the playoff time, like most national guys have basically been where I've been, like other than a healthy Denver and OKC, like this is like the quote unquote dark horse in the West. And I think keeping the 3 seed is going to be the key. Just because you might push OKC and Denver to the other side. And at that point you're looking at a flawed Lakers team and an inexperienced Spurs team to get back to the West Finals.
Absolutely. Like 3 seed is a must. To your point, the Wolves currently have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in odds, according to ESPN's DraftKings little graphic here that they are behind Houston, New York, Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, San Antonio, Denver, and OKC.
Behind Houston, that makes no sense to me.
And then there's they're plus 600 behind Houston. Like, it's a big gap behind Houston even. And then you look and it's like after Minnesota, there's like Lakers are plus 7,000, Minnesota's plus 2,800. Like, I guess you're saying with some of that is like the Eastern Conference, like it's an easier path, but like I'm not impressed with Houston. I'm not impressed with Houston at all. Like, I don't know if there's just a lot of money going on Houston, so they can't mess with the odds. And it's so much Kevin Durant. Like, their late game offense is just Kevin Durant. Like, it's wild. I do want to ask you one more thing before we let you plug whatever you're thinking about plugging and getting out of here. But just, they play Orlando. It's another weird 2 p.m. start, but after Orlando, they do go on the road. Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, Oklahoma City. Clippers might be a play-in team. The other 3 are playoff teams. I mean, what's a success on that Western coast or West Coast and Oklahoma City road trip? Also, Pack Mentality, appreciate you being in here. It's all Kevin Durant. Like, it is their entire team is all Kevin Durant. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, so thinking about that, it's a tough road trip in terms of quality of opponent, but in terms of like travel, at least before the OKC game, it's pretty manageable. They play back-to-back games in LA, technically a travel road back-to-back, but you at home go Google Maps the difference between Crypto and Intuit Dome. It's like a no traffic, like a 20-minute drive or something, which no traffic in LA is probably a oxymoron or whatever, but so they have that. They'll stay in the hotel, same hotel, I'd imagine, for between games. So I mean, Orlando at home is just a game you really should be looking at winning here, especially like the schedule is fairly strong the rest of the way. But after that, I think the Clippers are going to be a team that, like, depending on what night you get them, like the Wolves got them on an easy night the other night, but like if they got Kawhi Leonard and Darius Garland out there and John Collins out there, like that's on the road, like that's far from like an easy victory. So you'd probably take a split if that win comes against the Lakers. Hopefully you beat Golden State. And then the one game, the at Oklahoma City game, I just have like no expectation of a win there, not because they can't go into Oklahoma City and win, but because they play 9 p.m. Central out in the Bay, and then on 2 days later they play at noon, which obviously there's a day in between. Obviously they would never schedule a back-to-back like that, but like it's basically a back-to-back where they're gonna get into Oklahoma City super late. They're not gonna practice, I would imagine, that day before, and they're not gonna have shoot around, and they're going to then play at noon. Against the best team in the NBA, that is not a game. But if you can win both if you want to make a statement, if this team wants to like make a here we bloop in our statement, go win both of those games in LA. I think that'd be, again, if Kawhi Leonard sits, that changes the whole dynamic of the thing. But like if they can go win and add on top of the more winnable games, the home Orlando and road Golden State after it, like if you can get this thing up to 9 wins before that Oklahoma City game, that would be impressive. Ultimately, if they go 3-1 in that stretch, I think that'd probably be a solid outcome.
3-1's where I'm sitting. Like if they come back from that Oklahoma City game and they went 3-2 out of these next 5, like I'm feeling, because like they're kind of like I said about Toronto on a different podcast I was on a couple days ago, of like Toronto is like perfectly average. They are a normal, competent, average basketball team. Probably isn't winning the finals, probably isn't winning a playoff round, but they're fine. Like that's kind of Orlando. And it's kind of funny now how most like prediction apps and like prediction simulators had Orlando winning a championship this year, and now they're like the 7 seed.
It's been a rough season.
Like life hits fast, but like you beat Orlando, like that's awesome. You split the LAs, you beat Golden State, and then I did look up Oklahoma City's travel too. Like they play Boston at 8:30 p.m. Central on the 12th, so they have 2.5 games in between, which like I do think that matters. Like when you're going home, sleeping in your own bed, I would assume people that play for Oklahoma City at least have a condo in Oklahoma City. I don't know if they live there year round, but like that stuff does matter. And I do think Oklahoma City is going to want to get a lick back after Minnesota beat them last time. Like these two teams don't like each other. Like I don't think it's like a secret that like, you know, Finch gets tossed out of a game and then calls out all the officiating. Like I think that to me is going to be like a must watch game, but I agree, like a noon game off of 30 hours of in between after a 3-game road trip in California. Like that's just going to kind of suck for them. Like, again, boohoo, they play in the NBA. I understand that whole side of things, but also like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to go be in LA for like 6 days and then stop and need a connecting flight to go to Oklahoma City. That kind of sounds terrible. Ryan, I do want to give you space though. Where can people find you? Where is your work at? I hear you have a lovely podcast as well. Please plug everything and anything.
Yeah. So I got my podcast, 2 Words Wolves Pod. Doing a podcast tomorrow afternoon with Brandon Beck of Crunch Wears No Pants. So we'll have that one up for you tomorrow, 5 o'clock ish. Maybe closer to 6, whatever. And then writing at Canis Hoopus, I'll have something about, write about the kind of the bench resurgence here for this team. So you can check that out. And then at R Eichten, so R and then my last name, on socials.
Which I will just also add that Ryan is a Blue Sky person. So people that tune into this and watch on YouTube that wish there was more Wolves coverage on Blue Sky, because I do hear that pretty often. Ryan is kind of a Blue Sky forward centric primary.
Sure. Maybe I'll rip your content too. I'll rip down your content from Twitter.
There you go. Just throw them all up there. It's all aggregation. It's great. But for anyone that joined into this late, as soon as I hit end stream, it'll be up on X and YouTube, living on forever. You can find it as a podcast wherever you find your podcast, on Spotify, Apple, all of the weird little ones as well that people somehow listen to podcasts on. Shout out if you're one of those people. But we will be back after the Orlando game. And I'm going to try and start having some more 3-people panels just as kind of a preview for people, because there's been a lot of interest of different sides of Wolves coverage, fandom, media that are interested. We did. John wandered by. But thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you after Orlando.